Hey, this is Rick Kasalich, injury specialist from exercisesforinjuries.com. In today's video, I wanted to go through a posture fix workout for office workers. And I'll get Jenna to go through the first exercise. And it ends up being the bent over row. Good. So you start like you're starting in like a standing position. So I'll get you to stand up. Good. And then you're going to bend in the knees and you're going to bend at the hips. And at the hips, you're roughly at a 45-degree angle. You're really remembering your head's in line with the rest of your body. You're going to tighten the abdominal area. And you've gotten some sort of weights. It can be the dumbbells or it can be like kettlebells. And you're going through that rowing movement. Good. Bring the elbows, just past the shoulder and then back to the start. Still staying active in the shoulder, not dropping the shoulder. Good. And with this one, what we're working on is being in this good posture position. Alignment helps improve your posture, especially if you're an office worker. And then also doing that rowing movement ends up working on that mid-back area, which helps counteract office worker posture, which tends to be more of a rounded shoulder. So that ends up being the first exercise, and we're looking at, when it comes to the sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets end up being 1, repetitions end up being 10. The time ends up being a smooth, controlled movement with a quick stop at the start and the end position. And the intensity, you want to feel that the muscles in your mid-back and shoulder area are working. So that's the first exercise. Now the second exercise ends up being a tubing row. So you're sitting down, legs are straight, nice and upright. You've got that resistive tubing, and then we're going to do another rowing exercise. Good. And then back to the start. And then rowing. Good. So nice and tall, good alignment here with the head, shoulders, and the hips. You're tight in the abdominal area, and then relaxing, and then rowing back and really working on that mid-back area and counteracting that rounded shoulders that oftentimes office workers end up having. Looking at the sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets end up being 1, repetitions end up being 10. The time ends up being smooth, controlled movement with a good stop at the end position, so 2 seconds. And the intensity ends up being medium. You want to really feel in the mid-back and shoulder area, back of the shoulder area. Now moving on to the third one, this one ends up being Superman's. So you're moving on the floor, on your stomach, arms are overhead, and then you're going to lift one arm up, an opposite leg. Good. And then alternating back and forth. Good. So we're working on the muscles in the shoulder blade, but also in the glutes and the hamstrings. And you're just going to alternate back and forth. Good. And this is ending up reversing that office posture. So we're looking at, oftentimes the glutes are poor with office workers, and the hamstrings, but specifically the glutes. Also, we're kind of dynamically stretching the hip flexors. And with the lifting the arm up, we're working that mid-back area and also stretching out the front of the shoulder. There we go. When it comes to sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets end up being 1, repetitions end up being 10, so 5 on each side. Time ends up being a smooth, controlled movement with a good stop at the top position, so 1 to 2 seconds. The intensity ends up being, you should end up feeling the muscles working around the glutes and hamstrings and the shoulder blade area. So that ends up being the third one. Now moving on to the fourth one, this ends up being seated chest fly. Perfect. So you're like in a sitting position. You bring the weights out in front and then out to the side. Another way of making it more challenging is we can end up going to the chair, but we're going to kind of modify things a little bit. You're going to kind of sit towards the front of the chair. You're going to lean back. Good. So you're kind of at an angle. So feet are flat, knees bent. You're sitting on the edge, you're at an angle, you're tilted back, you're working the abdominal area, but then we're also working that mid-back area. So we're targeting the core, and then we're also kind of targeting the shoulders and mid, in between the shoulder blades. Perfect. Now we've kind of done the strengthening side of things. So we've done 4 exercises that end up targeting the strengthening and reversing that office posture, office worker posture. Now we're going to move to some stretching, 2 stretching exercises to help counteract that office worker posture. So the next one ends up being, the 5th one ends up being behind the back fingers stretch. So you're reaching behind the back, you're going to grab the fingers, and you're looking at stretching the arm, the lower shoulder, or the arm that's behind the shoulder, but then also stretching the arm that's above shoulder. Now, not everyone has as good flexibility as Jenna does, so what you can end up utilizing is a towel, and so you're reaching to whatever level you can behind your back, and then you're going to you can pull up with the top hand to stretch out the bottom, or you can end up pulling down with the bottom hand and stretching that top hand. Perfect. And then, of course, you'd end up going the other side as well, so switching hands. When it comes to sets, reps, time, and intensity, sets end up being 1, repetitions end up being 2. So alternating back and forth. Time, I would start off with about 10, 15 seconds, and the intensity ends up being light. We're looking for a light stretch in the shoulders, of the top shoulder and of the bottom shoulder. Now moving on to the last one, when it comes to improving that office worker posture, this ends up being the behind the back neck stretch. So you have the fingers interlaced behind your back. You're gonna lift those arms up, and then you're looking at stretching out that front of the shoulder, and then you're gonna drop the head to the side. And then to the other side. Good. So we're strengthening up the mid-back area, stretching out the front of the shoulder, and then stretching out the neck right in here. Perfect. When it comes to sets, reps, time, and intensity with this one, sets, 1, repetitions, I end up going like 3 repetitions each side, alternating back and forth. Time ends up being a hold for about 5 seconds, and the intensity ends up being light. We're looking at working that mid-back area, feeling those muscles activate and be on in the shoulder blade mid-back area, but also feeling a light stretch in the front of the shoulder, and then a light stretch in the neck. So there you go. Give those 6 exercises a go if you're an office worker and you want to fix your posture. Now, if you end up having, rounded shoulders, and you're looking for some of my best tips and tricks when it relates to rounded shoulders, what I recommend for you to do is click right here. I have a brand new free report called 5 Tricks That Fight Rounded Shoulders. Just click right here, let me know where to send that report, and I'll send you that report right away. If you're watching this on a tablet, smartphone, iPhone, some sort of small device, head down below in the description and click the first link, which will end up being exercisesforinjuries.com/rounders. Let me know where to send that report, and I'll send you that report right away. Now, if you got benefit from this video, make sure to like this video. If you have a question or comment for me, leave it down below in the comment section. And then lastly, hit subscribe if you want future workouts like this or future pain relieving videos.